says, okay, you know how on Cambly how people can make reservations, right? So say you set a schedule, you set your schedule out, and you make it so that people can reserve you. That's what I did. That's what I did. So I made a schedule every day, Monday through Thursday actually, and I forgot that there's a setting. I didn't forget about the setting, but I forgot to do this, okay? There's a setting in Cambly. This setting in Cambly allows you to make it to where people have to basically reserve you 24 hours in advance, 12 hours in advance, or 6 hours in advance. Yes. So I had it set accidentally to 6 hours in advance. You know what that means for me? That means, okay, so for me, that means that basically, say I opened up my schedule for 7 a.m., right? Say I go to bed at midnight, right? You see what I'm getting at? So if somebody decides, oh, I'm going to make an appointment and it's 12:30, 30 minutes past midnight, 12:30 a.m., I'm asleep. They can do that because I have that set in my settings. Because they're making an appointment at least 6 hours in advance. Do you see where I'm getting at? Do you see? Okay. So you're with me, right? Okay. So, then by the time I wake up, because obviously I'm not going to wake up at before 1 a.m. I just went to bed at midnight. So by the time I wake up to teach at what? I just get up at the last minute. So say I woke up at 6:45, 6:30 a.m. to teach at 7 a.m., right? Guess what? It has already been canceled. It has already been canceled because I did not set the parameters correctly. So since I didn't approve it before that 6 hour before mark, then it shows as if, you didn't accept the appointment. Oh, there's been a cancellation. So guess what? You know, the tutor gets penalized. So word of advice. I would say, especially if you are going to bed and you had a slot that was still open for the next day, cancel that thing. Cancel it. Just go ahead and close it because somebody can sneak on up in there and set an appointment. So keep in mind what time you have your parameters. Do they have to make an appointment 6 hours before, 12 hours, or 24 hours before? What notice do they have to give you? So you make sure it's set right, because if it's not set right and you are not online to either approve that reservation, then the system is going to cancel it. And once they make the reservation, whether you had already approved it or not, the reservation is there. So you have to either hit approve, yes, I know about it, or no, I'm not going to come. If you don't acknowledge it whatsoever, the reservation still stands. It stands. It counts. So if you don't do something within that time frame, and that minimum time rolls on around, and you haven't done anything, you didn't approve it, it's going to be canceled by Cambly. And it's your fault. Don't say I didn't tell you. Check your parameters. 6 hours, 12 hours.
So right here, these are the little notices that I got telling me about my missed appointment, which was basically they had scheduled it, but I didn't confirm or cancel it in a timely manner. So you'll get a notification like this that you would get. So you're not going to wake up like, what happened or whatever it is. You also get an email. So these were the emails that I got that told me that I didn't confirm, and so it was canceled. So I just want to save you guys from having the same thing happen to you, to where if you don't confirm or cancel a appointment in time, you know exactly what you need to do. Okay, so I'm going to show you exactly how to find the information for how the reservations go. So if you go to this little question mark right here and then go to Tutor Guide. Now I do these videos because although they're in the Tutor Guide, if you don't know where to look, then it's always easier to like Google or just pop on YouTube and find it. And if you guys subscribe to my channel, then I have like a whole playlist of just Cambly videos. So then you guys can go in there and be like, oh, there it is right there. So it could be a lot quicker that way. Now, go to reservations. Because you probably wouldn't think to look under reservations. You probably think to look under cancellations or something like that, but it's under reservations. Now let me show you like what I just explained to you, my little story. Now in here it has how to set your availability and all that good stuff. I did do a video on that. I'll update it and make a new video for it. Holding a spot for a certain student, I'm gonna do that too. What if I need to cancel, blah 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 blah. Now right here, and see, this is why it could be hard to find, because even if you're not canceling, it says, what if I need to cancel? Now, you see this part right here? If you are, it says 1 hour before the start time, if the reservation is made less than 12 hours in advance. So, say you had it set on the 6-hour mode, like I did, when you have it set on that 6-hour mode, so that they can schedule reservations 6 hours in advance. Yeah. So that was my mistake. I had it set on that 6-hour in advance mode instead of the 12 and 24. So I went to bed when I still had like, I still had like 8 hours to go before my open schedule time. I still had my schedule open. See, that's the thing. If I would have closed my schedule after I saw no one had booked it, if I would have closed my schedule and all I would have had were the reservations I already had, and that one little time slot that was still open wouldn't have been able to be booked if I would have just closed it. But I didn't. I just didn't think anybody was going to book it. I kind of forgot that I had it set to they can book me up to 6 hours in advance. So if I wanted to cancel that or even accept it, I have to cancel it or accept it, look, in this time frame, and I didn't, so it was canceled. And then say I had it set to the 12 hours, or the 24 hours in advance, then you have to do it 4 hours before the start time, because you can do they have to give you notice 12 hours in advance, at least 12 hours in advance. So then you'd have to do it at least 4 hours before the start time. If you have it set for 24 hours in advance, then a decision needs to be made 12 hours before the start time. I now have set it 24 hours in advance. So they have to book me 24 hours in advance. I learned my lesson, because this happened several times where I was just confident that I would be on it and I was not on it, because my mind has been elsewhere. My mind has been on my little baby and not on checking my emails consistently to see if I got a booking. So, hey, I've learned, so I do 24 hours in advance. But say your schedule's a little more open and you really want to get maximum booking capability, then you can do 6 hours in advance. Just make sure that you stay on it. So if somebody books you like 7 hours in advance, then you're checking that to make sure it's not going to get canceled, because you didn't no show, or you just missed it. You missed it, or you were, oh no, I'm not available at this time because I didn't have a student. Especially some of you that are working on multiple platforms, you probably overlap your schedule at certain times. So if you don't have an appointment booked at a certain time, you probably take time somewhere else to book time. Now, keep in mind with these time restraints right here. So these are the rules. Additionally, to prevent students from waiting, unconfirmed reservations are automatically canceled a certain number of hours before their start time. Mine was unconfirmed. I just didn't confirm it because I didn't see it. I wasn't paying attention. These auto cancellations happened, and this is where I messed up. I had my schedule open from 6:30 a.m. up until 8, and that 6:30 slot was still open. There, so the 6:30 slot was open. The 7 and the 7:30 was filled, and I went to bed, and I was like, okay, well, I don't have a student, so I'm okay. I'm not going to teach until 7. Didn't pay any attention to anything, and boom. What, it was like 5:30. It was like 5, what time was it? It was like 5:40 maybe. I think I had, no, it was 5:34. The email came through at 5:34 and was like, oops, your reservation has been canceled. I was like, what? And since that wasn't the first time it happened, then I got put in what they call Cambly jail, meaning they limited me to where I can only take regulars or adult only students. And I didn't want to open up my schedule for adult only, but I did open it up for just my regulars. So I was like, okay, fine. Only my regulars can book me. I have plenty of regulars. But you don't want to get in the habit of doing that, because if you abuse the system, there's no magic number. So it's not like after you do it 3 times or 4 times or 5 times in this period of time. There's not a magic number, but if they just see a pattern of you being unreliable, then it's up to Cambly's discretion to deactivate your tutoring profile. So there's no magic number around it as to if this happens, then this. But just be forewarned that if they see that you're abusing the system, or you're not basically tutoring in the fashion where they feel that you're representing the company well, they have the right, per their contract, to disable your account without notice. They can just go boop, it's disabled, and send you an email telling you what they did. So don't abuse the system. Try to stay on it, even though Cambly is very gracious with, they don't fine us with money, like taking money out of our account or, anything like that. They just fine us with limiting you in ways of how many people will see your schedule being open, depending on your tutoring status. So since I'm open for Cambly kids and adults, and it was a Cambly kids reservation that fell off because my lack of paying attention, so they limited me. Okay, you can teach the adults, or you can only teach reservation only in Cambly kids. You're not able to take on any new Cambly kids students for a period of time. I think it was like 5 days. So it's like the next 5 days, you can't take on any Cambly kids. No, actually it was a week. For the next week, you couldn't take on any Cambly kids reservations. But it didn't affect me because I have such an accumulation of regulars. And so anytime that happens and there's a cancellation, oh my gosh, one of my regulars pops into that position. They just pop in there. But I would never abuse the system, knowing that Cambly has the ability to just shut it down. So hopefully this video is helpful for you, that you need to make sure you have all your ducks in a row based off of how you're going to do it. Okay. Now, furthermore, I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like when you are trying to set your time availability. Okay, here we go. I had to scroll up because I didn't want you guys to see the names of people that have appointments for me, because my appointments start at 6:30 in the morning and I don't want you seeing names. So here we go. You see over here on the side, in this area, over here on the left side, the area that's moving up and down, where it says reservation settings. This is what I'm talking about. 6 hours in advance, 12 hours in advance, 24 hours in advance. So if I had it where I had it set at 6 hours in advance, then they can book me. Now they give you a note here that if you're on priority hours, they can reserve you up to 2 hours in advance. So priority hours is they can get you super last minute. You know, you can even get on the spot calls from adults. But for the Cambly kids, they can reserve you up to 2 hours in advance. So that's probably what my Cambly kids person had to do, since I didn't confirm and then it fell off because Cambly canceled it. Then they probably went on to a priority hour tutor to get a last minute booking so that their child can still have a lesson, because I failed to do what I need to do. So if you set it here, I have my set on 24 hours in advance notice. This is where it's found, in case you're wondering. And this does not apply to priority hours. It only applies for when you open up your schedule. So like like this. When you go in here and you edit your reservation availability, when you do that, whatever availability you put in there, that's when that applies, as far as when they can make reservations on your schedule. Okay? So hit me up if you have any questions about this. I would even love to hear your stories of things that have happened. Drop it down in the chat. Let's converse. All right, you guys, as always, TTF in.